So by the end of this video, you're going to be a beast at acquiring high ticket clients, and you're going to learn the most frictionless path to doing so. I created a strategy called the InstaTube Method, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works and how you can implement it in your business so that you can adhere to the modern age of high ticket offers and acquire high ticket clients effortlessly. We're going to walk through 7 core phases throughout this video. Number 1, modern market psychology. 2, the InstaTube Method. 3, the core journey process your prospects will go through from attention to purchasing from you. 4, the pre-selling content loop that will pre-sell individuals before they even arrive at your pitch, offer, or schedule a call with you. Number 5, tracking and optimization. 6, YouTube mini VSLs. I'm going to be teaching you how to turn your YouTube videos into miniature VSLs. And lastly, we're going to be talking about scaling angles, because there are multiple different verticals that you can scale this strategy with, and you don't need to stick to just the method that I'm talking you through throughout this video. So let's dive straight into it, guys, right? We're going to understand modern market psychology, because if we understand how the market is responding to certain things right now and what they respond best to, we can position ourselves to obviously adhere to that, right? Because a lot of people are getting left behind because they're using traditional old shit and messaging and positioning strategies that just don't work anymore. I believe, guys, that we are in what I like to refer to as the numb market, okay? Prospects have seen every promise, sophisticated with every type of funnel process, and ultimately they're just desensitized to the typical fucking bullshit that people put on funnels, that offers, Instagram bios, content. And to be honest with you guys, when you use these fake scarcity or urgency tactics, you're actually doing the complete opposite of what you're intended to, right? And you're probably not this sleazy person, right? You're probably not trying to mislead people, but it comes across like that. You're just following the old playbook. You're just following what you believe is the right thing to say, what you believe you need to say or do or put on your funnels, put on your content in order to build scarcity, in order to build urgency, in order to get someone to schedule that call with you. When in actual fact, times have changed, right? People are so desensitized to these old methods of marketing that it actually creates the opposite effect. It makes you seem inauthentic. It makes you seem disingenuine, right? It makes you seem like you're trying to force an outcome by saying certain things instead of becoming that thing. So I'm going to be walking you through, what you should be doing instead. But first of all, we need to talk about modern market psychology and where everyone's at, right? The creator economy is rising as well. It's growing at an all-time record speed, which ultimately means that there's more competition. There's more people doing what you're doing, teaching what you're teaching, trying to attract and sign the clients that you're trying to attract and sign. And what that basically means is that there is less market share. And when there's less market share, you need to be on your shit, right? Because there are loads of people doing what you're doing, which means you can fall into the same bracket as them, regurgitating the same shit, doing the same processes, and just not standing out ultimately, right? And this is what, this has led to what I believe is a trust recession. People are desensitized, offer fatigue is at an all-time high. You could back in the day have a really fucking solid offer based on what it looks like and what it sounds like, and you can get away with it, right? But these days, having a good offer just isn't enough anymore, right? There are so many more boxes that you need to tick. The standard is so much higher. And ultimately, what it falls down to is just people are more skeptical. They're more sophisticated. They've had more time in the market, right? So they are not as receptive to what people would have been receptive to back 5, 3, 4 years ago, okay? The old stuff just doesn't work anymore, guys. It's really that simple. Google did a study recently, the 7-11-4 rule, they've called it. And it's a marketing concept that suggests that a consumer needs to engage with a brand for 7 hours through 11 touch points across 4 different platforms to build enough trust to make a purchase. This concept emphasizes that brands must provide consistent multi-platform exposure to build recognition, trust, and confidence, transforming strangers into buyers over time. And I've put an official certificate of death for traditional funnels here. So by watching this video, by going past this point in the video, you are agreeing and swearing to be optimistic to the fact that the traditional stuff just doesn't work anymore, and what I'm going to be walking you through, because guys, we've got clients implementing this that are doing 100K days.
I think we had a 100K day.
Yeah, I think we did.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, this one reel got me 1,600 followers.
Like the principles in this video, I'm going to be walking you through multiple clients that have implemented what I'm teaching in this video, the kind of results you can expect. And really, all I'm asking you to do is watch it through to the end of the video to understand how to implement this for yourself, because it's actually not rocket science. And the beautiful part about this is that not many people are actually implementing it. So this competition that you see rising, like, you know, it's not going to affect you as much if you position yourself differently and do things differently, right? This client collected $326,000 within 15 days, 14 days by following certain principles that I'm going to teach you throughout this video, right? She built her ManyChat list and contact list to over 80,000 contacts. You know, this screenshot was taken probably 2 months back. It's probably well over 100K right now. So there is no shortage of leads. There is no shortage of attention. There's no shortage of clients when you understand the right systems to build based on the way the market is right now. If you're operating with regards to how the market was 5 years ago, you're probably you're probably wondering, you know, why am I doing X, Y, Z, all the things that I should be doing, but I'm just not getting the results? It's probably because you're not operating in the way that you should be, right? In terms of like the way that the market is right now. Now, number 2 is the InstaTube method. I'm going to walk you through what actually is this. We have other clients who are operating from, you know, using principles from what I'm teaching you, 173K in the last 4 weeks. You know, I'll show you right now live on screen. Last 4 weeks, guys, this client has done £186,000 in cash collected. Okay, like the stuff that I'm going to be teaching you, just hear me out, all right? Just stick around to the end of the video if you can. And the InstaTube method in and of itself is actually a small chunk of the core operating system that I take my clients through. So I call it the category creators operating system. I'm going to be walking you through the different phases throughout this video and how it ties into the InstaTube method. But this is just one small piece of the pie, right? And I'm obviously going to be doing other videos, you know, explaining full board breakdown similar to this one, going through the other elements of it. And I'm going to be walking you through how they actually all tie into one another, right? So what is the InstaTube method? Well, let's first explain the philosophy shifts that need to take place in order to adopt the InstaTube method. So we go from persuasion to demonstration. We go from trying to convince people to demonstrating proof. We go from sleazy, outdated sales tactics to building trust journeys. And we go from trying to force a prospect into buying from us to giving them voluntary engagement as to whether or not they want to get exposed to the content and teachings that we are, you know, putting out there into the market, right? And how it works is a multi-engine system. We use multiple different platforms to create this ultimate trust building journey that ultimately, you know, concludes with the prospect being in a pre-sold state and ready to buy from you. And that's before they've even scheduled a call with you. So we start on Instagram with short form content, push that short form attention into a ManyChat keyword flow. That ManyChat keyword creates an opt-in for our email nurture sequence. And then people are directed to a video, which is part of a mini series on YouTube. And from that YouTube video, we push them through to our call funnel. Okay. Now, obviously I'm going to be walking you through what type of short form attention we create and what we're saying, how we're structuring it and all that sort of stuff. But that's a general overview of how it works, right? We're looking to create what I like to call trust loops instead of sales funnels. So a linear funnel would essentially be cold traffic to a page, watching a VSL to a 1 or 2 call close, right? What we're doing instead is creating trust loops, intentional touch points designed in the exact way that we want it, in the exact order that we want people to go through, right? It's voluntary and logical progression compared to forcing someone into familiarity or forcing someone into creating, you know, trying to close them without even creating context. You know, the linear traditional method of having a cold prospect arrive at a call and then trying to rush them into a high ticket offer. I like to also refer to this as, you know, trying to marry a prospect when you're just on the first date. Okay. And we're creating psychological buy-in through exposure. So this is linking back to Google's study, right? Having 7 hours through 11 touch points across 4 different platforms to build enough trust to make a purchase. We're adhering to modern market psychology. Now, moving on to compound authority, you know, YouTube videos work for years. Content libraries become more valuable as time goes on, and social proof accumulates whilst brand recognition develops. Now, moving on to the core journey process, because ultimately, like one of my core principles in business or in online info, high ticket offers, is that you should shift the focus from creating funnels towards cultivating a customer journey that is so powerful that by the time someone arrives at the end of that journey, i.e. scheduling a call with you or signing up to your program, they're in such a pre-sold state that usually sales calls are confirmation calls. It's the final Q&As, and you can even sign deals through DMs, right? Through message alone. Like, you don't even need to take these calls because the prospects have already got to a stage where they are pre-sold on what it is that you do, right? And I refer to my own journey when I think about this principle, right? Any high ticket investment I've made into a mentor, into a program, whatever it might be, they could have sent me the payment link via DM, right? I had already made my mind up before I arrived at that call with them because of the journey that they created, the customer journey that I went through, the stages, the content that I had watched, the things that I had seen. I was exposed to such undeniable proof. I had built such undeniable trust in those individuals so that when it comes to the point of wanting to work with them, I had already decided in my mind that this is what I wanted to do. Right? So it wasn't no funnel that I was going to go through, no sales copy that I was going to see, no sleazy rep that I was going to talk to that was going to change my mind or convince me on buying this product. I wanted to, right? And I had decided beforehand. So that's what happens when you build such a powerful customer journey. You actually eliminate all of the surface level bullshit that people are facing these days. Like, you know, show up rates, fucking people wasting your time, not enough people booking calls, people just not serious enough when they actually arrive to those calls. They got too many objections and stuff like that because you haven't handled them prior to that call taking place. Conversion rates are low. Like, you don't need to mess around with all of this surface level bullshit when you're building systems like this. Like, sure, if you're running a cold call funnel and trying to 1 call, 2 call close someone on the back end of watching a 15-minute VSL, like, you are going to struggle with this type of stuff because by nature, you're trying to force people before creating familiarity. You're trying to force people to buy into your high ticket offer before having any context prior to even arriving on that call with you. So no shit, you're struggling with those surface level issues, right? But you're not going to struggle with those issues if you're following a process like this. So what I like to do beforehand is really dialing in on the foundations of your offer, yourself, the way that you're pushing yourself out there, your positioning, right? And my client Amy did this.
And they have been instrumental to the transformation my business has taken right now.
And you know, sometimes a good offer, a good high ticket coach, a good online coach doesn't have to change too much to be able to get the results that they want to get. You probably get amazing results for your clients. You're probably a fucking great coach, right? Sometimes it's just a tweak in the foundations, a tweak in positioning, a tweak in the way that you're putting your message out there, or a tweak in the offer can make all the friggin' difference for you, right? So before we even move into creating the InstaTube strategy, before we even do, start pushing out that content, right? And start creating those systems, you really need to dial in on your positioning, your messaging, and who the fuck you even want to attract in the first place. So we go through the category code, we create your ICP. I have a very in-depth worksheets that all my clients go through. They're pages and pages and pages long, which it takes a lot of time to do. But once you nail the foundations, once you really know on the most specific detailed level who the fuck it is that you want to sell to, who the fuck it is that you want to work with, those individuals are going to feel, hear, and understand your content on a completely different level compared to if you're trying to talk to everyone. If you're trying to talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. If you're talking to one individual person, that person is going to see, hear, and feel your message on such an intrinsic, deep level that they are going to think that you are the only logical choice. They are going to think that you are speaking to them in such a clear way that you understand exactly what they need, the exact path they need to go through in order to get the promise it is that you're delivering, right? Now, you also need to create your niche narratives. What is the unique way that you do things, right? What are the unique worldviews, ideologies, experiences that you have that is going to benefit the individuals that you're looking to help? You need to come up with your magnetic messaging frameworks, right? And this pretty much connects with your pathway protocol. It's creating a map, mapping your knowledge, mapping your experience, mapping your skill sets into a structured, ownable IP. Journey, map, your very own pathway, unique to you, that you take people through. And I'm going to be walking you through how my client Christian actually created this for himself and how it works really well when creating the InstaTube method. But before we do that, we can talk about the offer as well. Now, I like to create what I like to call an adaptive offer. We strip away the complexity and package your value into a scalable, high profit offer with access-based tiers. And I'm going to walk you through how having access-based tiers, not completely different offers with completely different deliverables, is going to allow you to scale with more peace, profit, and passion, because it's going to give you different angles to scale those offers and scale those strategies that you're going to be using without creating delivery bloat, without creating operational drag, because in the back end, you've got all of these different outcomes and transformations to deliver on because you've created so much unnecessary complexity within your offers, right? So those are the foundations. Once you dial those in, everything else after that is going to be much easier, right? Because your top of funnel within your business, within your content strategy is so important. You know, my client Christian was talking to me when we, were first onboarding him as a client, and he was telling me that people were getting price shock when they were getting onto calls with him and stuff like that. And it's because his top of funnel content wasn't direct enough. It wasn't specific enough, the funnel that they went through in terms of who he helps, how he helps them, and the process that he takes them through. Like, they just didn't have enough context leading into it, which is obviously going to result in the wrong people coming through, right? So you fix your foundations, you fix your top of funnel, everything else after that gets a lot easier because you're just limiting the amount of things that can go wrong throughout the funnel. So based on the foundations that we went through, right, my client Christian built a bunch of forms. We mapped that into a AI software I use called Cortex. So it has his origin story, his scripts, his typical voice that he speaks in terms of the messaging style he uses and stuff. I put all of his client testimonials transcribed into a folder. The way he positions himself, we dialed that in. His method, unique method, which is called the anti-artistry game method. But pretty much he's an online dating coach. He teaches people cold approach. What he actually does is he teaches successful men on how to become the individuals that cold approach naturally works for, right? So he created the method. We dialed in on his ICP, high achieving men, that type of individuals that he's looking to appeal to and go through the funnel. And essentially what we did for the InstaTube method was we came up with the core pain points, right? We came up with 10 ideas. We shortlisted them to 5. We came up with 5 of the core pain points and desires that his audience experience, right? And we decided to turn those 5 pain points, desires, into YouTube videos. So we're going to dive into the InstaTube method, the general skeleton of it, right? So you pick your core pain points, right? What are the most painful things that your audience go? What are the things that they really want to transcend, right? You pick those and you decide to make videos long form based on those points. Now, what helps a lot, and we're going to get into this in the YouTube mini VSL segment of this video, but what helps a lot is when you can tie those pain points into an actual client transformation that you've experienced and had for those specific videos, right? Because that's going to make it so much more powerful. Now, if you can't do it for a client, then try and relate it back to a personal story of your own, a personal transformation of your own, right? So let's say, for example, if a high achieving man freezes up around beautiful women, he doesn't have, he may be successful with traveling, successful with business, but he isn't successful with women. There's that identity gap. My client had a client that he was able to use for this specific video, but if you don't, then he would have just used it for himself, right? So just use it for yourself and relate it back to a personal story if you don't have it for yourself. Now, what we're going to do is find those 3 to 10 pain points. We're going to create a mini series on YouTube. So you're going to form it into a playlist. So we've got 5 examples here. And there are many different ways that you can promote this, right? Obviously, YouTube's going to promote it organically, but you can create organic Instagram Reels that is going to push people through to a ManyChat trigger, okay? And, I would recommend videos should remain under 90 seconds. Keep the curiosity, don't give it all away. And you can have multiple hooks for the same pain point. So you may be talking about a singular pain point, but there are going to be multiple different ways that you can approach that pain point. And throughout those short form content on Instagram, which we're going to talk about how to push it through organic, how to push it through paid ads, you're not going to be giving too much away. You're going to give them just enough. You're going to bring them to a certain level of awareness without giving them the full solution, because the full solution is going to be delivered, or I guess a part of that solution is going to be delivered on the long form content. We're going to build that watch time, right? So we're adhering to the multiple touch points, to building that hours of watch time on YouTube, right? Because Instagram is where you're going to build that attention. It's going to be where you spark that curiosity, right? But YouTube is where you're going to nurture. It's going and email, right? It's going to be where you nurture. It's going to be where you build that trust, build that depth. So yeah, you have the Instagram pushing through to the pain point mini series, and how that would essentially work is, say for example, you have. In fact, let me give you an example of a video that I had myself, right? When you're building a team, you have to have SOPs and you have to have systems in place, right? Because what that does is, if you can follow a repeatable system, you can generate a repeatable result. If you're just... Cool, so you see that? It was a video talking about a specific pain. It's actually cut from a long form video. So I'm going to talk to you about how to repurpose long form videos to actually feed those long form videos on YouTube, because posting your video on YouTube, the traffic doesn't have to end there. You don't just have to rely on the traffic coming in through organic YouTube. There are many different ways you can push traffic to those videos via Instagram, via other platforms, via email. And one of the ways that, you know, you can repurpose these videos is by just using Opus Clip. You know, it's like a software where you can upload your long form videos. It's going to take the key highlights of that. So say for example, you upload a 30-minute video, it might go in and create 60 to 100 clips from that video that you can now edit and use on Instagram, and end with a call to action with a ManyChat keyword. They reply scale to this, you know, video, and it's going to send them through a sequence, which ultimately results in them landing inside of my YouTube playlist. And this is going to create bingeability, which is going to increase watch time. And within these videos, we have our next, you know, stage of the funnel, which is the keystone assets. They then get delivered to our VSL. Now, how I typically like to structure descriptions for these videos is, we have an overview of the video. We have the call schedule CTA, which is obviously the most important thing, because that's where we're going to go push them through to our funnel or our Calendly link, whatever it might be. We're then going to redirect them to the playlist. So you can add a hyperlink within the description to the playlist. So if they don't autoplay onto the next video or manually find it on the sidebar, they can go and click the link below, increasing bingeability. We just want them to watch more content. And then I think I would recommend you put in, you know, a core case study video. Maybe link them through to your testimonials channel or a testimonial video within your YouTube channel, which is based on the specific pain that you're talking about throughout that video, right? So for my client Christian, you know, if he's talking about approaching women with confidence, he's going to link them through to a specific video of a client talking, you know, testimonial video, or it could even be a case study video of that transformation taking place based on that specific pain point, them transcending that specific pain point, right? So we're tying everything in to the specific things that you're talking about on that video. And then, yeah, I also recommend using sections for your video, not only because it's, I guess, more user-friendly for people watching a video. They can skip to the parts that they want or XYZ, but it actually helps with discoverability as well. You know, if you're using certain keywords in your sections and stuff like that, it's going to enable, you know, YouTube to find certain individuals to push them through to your videos organically. And also you can do a little bit of an overview about you and then relevant hashtags, right? And the most important one here is to make sure you pin a comment, either pushing them through to the playlist again or pushing them through to schedule a call with you, right? And that's a pinned comment on each of the videos that you put out there. Now, the call CTA is important. The reason why we put this on a funnel is because we can install the Facebook pixel. And the reason why we install the Facebook pixel is because if someone lands on, let's say, this playlist and they go through to a certain funnel that's within these playlist videos, we're going to make sure that funnel is unique, because the pixel data we get based on the URL they've landed on is very important to us. And let me tell you why. Now, we don't want to just retarget absolutely everyone, sending them through to schedule a call with us. Why? Because we only want to retarget the people who have gone through and watched our YouTube content. And this is going to result in you sitting calls with people who have already been through your short form, who have already been through your YouTube playlist. And the reason why this helps is because, let me ask you this. What would you rather have on your calendar? 20 calls where only 5 of them closed, or 5 calls where only 5 of them closed? Like, it's fucking plain simple, right? You only want to talk to people who you've already built familiarity with. They already have context on what it is you do, how you help them, the results that you've generated, your credibility, your authority, your social proof, your evidence. Like, undeniable fucking trust before they've even arrived at a call with you. It doesn't make sense to aim for volume unless you have a big sales team, you don't care about wasting your closers' time and all that bullshit. Like, if you're taking the calls yourself, or if even your closers are taking the calls, right? You want to make sure that there's been enough context, enough familiarity, and the prospects have gone through such a powerful journey before they arrive at that call so that they're pre-sold, right? They don't really need, they're not going to have much pushback. All objections have been, pre-handled, because the best way to handle an objection is to prevent it in the fucking first place. And these calls are more confirmation calls, right? They're more just the final Q&As or the final FAQs before investing into your program, right? And yeah, we retarget people into the funnel based on that specific URL pixel data, people who have individually visited these URLs because they've been nested inside of these playlists on YouTube, right? So, using principles from this, we were able to book 341 calls for my client Ella in 30 days, which was a 118% increase from the time previous to this. This was without spending more money on ads. Obviously if we spent more, we're going to book more, but no. Disclaimer, this was not because we went in and scaled ad spend, right? This is because we changed the way that, or changed the journey, updated the journey that prospects go through. And it does everything. It increases show up rate, it increases close rate, it increases the amount of calls you're going to get as a byproduct. So ultimately, like, why would you be doing anything else, right? If it helps with absolutely every single stage of the funnel, and if anything, it actually makes your cost per book call cheaper because you're only targeting the right people instead of targeting everyone. So it's like, when you understand these principles, you really think like, why on earth would anyone do anything different? You can see here on the specific VSL campaign we were running for this client, they had 161 meetings scheduled at a cost per appointment of £45. Now, bear in mind, by the time these individuals arrive at this funnel, they've got so much context, they built so much familiarity that, sitting down with these people to sell them a high ticket offer of, excess of $6,000, £6,000, and you've only paid £45 for that individual to sit in front of you. It's just absolutely mind-blowing as to why people wouldn't want to build systems and processes like this and operating systems that work like this, because you're booking calls for less, you're making more money, you're speaking to people who are already pre-aligned with you, which ultimately, guys, if you're working in a high ticket space, like, you're going to be probably working with your clients on a intimate level, maybe taking calls with them one-on-one. Why would you want to work with people that you've had to force to sign up to your program? Like, if you force someone to buy into your program and it's a high ticket buying decision, buyer remorse is probably going to kick in a day or two later. And it's just not going to be a fun experience for you, right? It's not going to be a fun experience. So that's why I'm a big advocate for building such powerful customer journeys leading up to the point where someone schedules a call with you, because people are so fucking aligned with you. People are so familiar with what it is that you do, who you help. They're so brought into you as an individual because people buy the coach before they buy the coaching. And when it comes to actually serving these individuals and working with these individuals one-on-one, it doesn't feel like you're working with just another client. It feels like you're working with friends, people who fucking get you, people who you get them. And it creates this culture, it creates this lifestyle where you actually enjoy showing up to work every day, right? You don't dread taking a call with XYZ because they moan about XYZ, like, you're dreading this process. And you get to a point where I'm at, like, right now, where I don't wish for the weekends. I don't wish for the weekend to come so I can escape work. I actually enjoy waking up and serving my clients on a day-to-day basis. And this is the byproduct of actually being intentional about the type of clients that you want to attract in the first place, right? Now, moving on to the pre-content selling loop. How do you get an individual to go from having no fucking idea who you are to being such an advocate, fucking cult raving fan on what it is that you do, that they want to work with you, right? They see you as truly the only logical choice. Well, I call it the Activate engine. We're activating leads through authority, connection, trust, identity, vision, alignment, testimonials, and evidence, right? You're building your content strategy in such a way that it touches base on absolutely everything someone needs to know about you, your offer, your clients, your method, how you help people, why you do it in the way that you do it, what makes you credible, what's your experience, how has your experience, skill sets, or past led to creating this method that makes sense for the current market conditions, and how is it getting the results that it's getting, everything that they need to know. You talk about all their FAQs, tackle every objection before they arise. There is no stone left unturned when you follow this Activate engine. And I actually have another video on my YouTube channel which goes a bit more in depth to the Activate engine, how it works, which you can go and check out on my channel. But for the sake of this video, we'll obviously stick to walking through the InstaTube method. But obviously, you know, the short form content you're creating is putting them through this journey. They're getting retargeted to ManyChat. They're going through to your YouTube mini series. And then once they've built enough context familiarity, they're then getting retargeted to the VSL call, right? Now, once someone's been retargeted to the VSL call, you can even go a level deeper and retarget from that pixel data. So once someone has visited the VSL funnel, you can then retarget them if they haven't scheduled a call to something different, right? If you want to, it could be a video, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment. Like, I speak to, whenever we place closes and stuff for clients, I always have, like, after a few weeks, really in-depth interactions with the closers or the clients themselves if they're taking the calls, because I want to understand what objections are coming up. You know, I want to look back and scrape all previous call recordings through Fathom or AI, whichever way you're going to do it. And I want to understand every question the prospects ask. I want to understand every objection that comes up. I want to understand everything that stops them from saying yes, so that we can turn that into content, right, that we put people through. And there's actually a method that I use where I get the client to record 30 to 50 videos, right, which touches base on all the FAQs, handling all objections, all the case studies, all the results, everything you need to know about the client, building connection, building alignment, all that sort of stuff. And I put them into individual ad sets on Facebook, and on each of those videos, I place a 50% video view exclusion rule. So what this basically does is, you have 30 to 50 videos which you've recorded, right? They cover everything you would want someone to know before they arrive at the call with you, right? Think about it like this. I would ask you this question, right? I'll be like, look, to give yourself the best chance at closing this prospect, what is everything you would want them to know, see, understand, and hear before arriving at the call with you? You would answer those questions. We would turn those into videos. We would have them in individual assets on Facebook with 50% video view exclusion rule. And what that's going to do is, once someone watches over 50% of video one, it's going to exclude them from seeing that video again, and it's going to show them the next in the sequence. So every time they open that, they open their Facebook, Instagram, they're going to see these videos. And I'm going to show you how powerful this is, because we actually put it into a specific type of campaign on Facebook, which delivers these videos really cheaply, right? You can see here, my client on this specific nurture audience ad set campaign, whatever you want to call it, the cost per 1,000 impressions is £1.36, right? It's costing us £1.36 to display these videos to 1,000 people. Now here's the catch. This audience and this campaign is only targeting her warm audience. What does that mean? Well, usually when you target a smaller audience on Facebook, Instagram ads, whatever you want to call it, meta ads, the cost to reach those individuals is far higher because the audience is smaller. The broader you go, the less it costs, right? Usually, that's just a general rule. I don't know why they do it that way. You know, nobody knows. It's just the way that it works. And we found a campaign that allows you to put 30 to 50 of these videos into a nurturing ad set and show those videos to 1,000 people for £1.36. Like, it's insane. Imagine you could show all of those videos to someone before they arrive at the call with you, and you're only paying £1 per 1,000 impressions. Like, you probably don't even have 1,000 warm ICP buyers within your audience. It's going to show to everyone, right? So that's a very, very powerful way that we nurture people and pre-sale people before they arrive at a call. Now, what happens when you do this is that you can see here, my client Ella from Land Profits, you know, one of our closers closed 1, 2, 3, 4 deals in a single day. 1, 2, 2 of them were PIFs, and this resulted in, I think I've got I haven't added a, oh yeah, I have. It resulted in a 28K day. I've got a screenshot here, £28,000, Great British pounds. And this was because the closer, when the calls arrived at the call, at the meeting, he didn't have to go through crazy sales processes, pitches, questions, you know, emotions, pain points, and all that sort of stuff, because people are arriving, they already want to join this offer. And this is the power of building a powerful customer journey, right? This is the power of what happens when you really understand your market, you really understand the data, you record all of your calls with a software like Fathom, transcribe all of those hundreds of calls, put it into an AI chatbot that deciphers the commonalities or the things that happen throughout those calls, and you turn that into content, right? You let the market decide, you let real life interaction decide what kind of content you push out there. Because if you're just creating your content based off assumptions, what you think people want to see, that's probably why people are arriving at your calls still not sold on what it is that you do, still asking questions, still probing deep, and trying to get you to convince them on buying it instead of convincing themselves based on the exposure that they've had to your content leading up to that call, right? So now we're going to talk about tracking and optimization, because we're going to be using a lot of different keywords. We're going to be using a lot of different videos. We're going to be pushing them through to a lot of different, videos on YouTube. So how do we actually know which pain point is the best performing? How do we know which angles to double down on? Because you could have 5 to 10 pain points, right, and just keep pushing these out. But if only 1 to 2 of those pain points are actually hooking your audience in, and they're the ones that they're actually engaging with compared to the rest, right? Or they're the only videos on YouTube that they're watching that is actually resulting in a close, right? There are softwares that you can integrate with your YouTube channel that is going to add URL parameters to the description calling that you have. And it's going to tell you that this specific video has got you X amount of clients. So you're going to basically have to track this stuff, right? And you're going to have to understand what reels are you putting out, what YouTube videos are connecting the most with your audience, and what funnels are people going through to and clicking that is resulting in them converting as a high ticket client, right? Because if you understand this data, that awareness of the process is going to enable you to replicate that result. If you understand what input created this output, you can replicate that input and obviously get more of the output, right? And we do that through many different ways. First of all, this system in and of itself is mostly tracked through a DM ads tracking sheet, right? I have this sheet, we have all of our keywords here, and let's say for January, you sent X amount of messages, you pushed them through to X amount of videos, those videos generated X amount of calls, you made X amount of sales. All of this is tracked, right? And we go back through to the dashboard and we can see, okay, well, this keyword has created this amount of clients based on this amount of ad spend. And we're going to know exactly how much we need to spend to get exactly how many messages, to get exactly how many calls, to get exactly how many sales. And there we have our cost of acquisition based on that keyword. Now, once you have your top performing keyword, you may have 30 or 10 different keywords here. And okay, well, this is the most profitable keyword based on the ROI. We're going to link everything to 2-minute reports. So it basically takes the data from your ads manager, automatically populates it into this tracking sheet. You have your appointment setter or yourself going through manually tracking the amount of conversations started, the prospects. It's like a CRM process. And then you're going to understand, okay, well, keyword 1 and 7 have performed the best out of all the keywords that I've launched. So why not focus on creating different angles for those keywords, right? And you're only going to know that based on the data. And we create huge SOP libraries for our appointment setters so that they follow these tracking sheets, they follow these systems with absolute precision. Because if you can create a repeatable process that generates a repeatable result, it takes the guesswork out of the whole hiring process in and of itself, right? Because the quality of the results that you generate is largely not always going to depend on the quality of the hires you make. Like, you can take an average person, put them through extraordinary processes and systems and create extraordinary results, right? So you don't always have to worry about getting the best talent for appointment setting or anything like that. It's all about making sure that the processes people are following are really in alignment with the kind of results that you want to generate, right? So let's move on to YouTube mini VSLs, because what we're really looking to do here with the InstaTube method is create these super powerful YouTube videos that I like to position as VSLs, right? And the way in which we do that is pretty simple. I'm going to be using an example from my client Christian down here, because this is kind of what we did for him. He's currently working on getting all of this built out. So number 1 is going to be your hook and relatable pain. So Oliver is his ICP, right? He went through and did all of the ICP documents that we have, and pretty much resulted in him having a super clear understanding of who he's looking to attract. And we called that individual Oliver. So the goal is to make Oliver feel seen and hooked immediately. So we open strong. So we call out the internal dialogue of your ICP. So you can do XYZ, but you struggle with pain, right? We introduce the client, so the person that you actually got this result with. So we're structuring this like a VSL. So meet my client XYZ. He had this pain, and I'm going to teach you how in this video, how he overcame this. We're going to agitate the pain by, highlighting the cost of having that pain. Then we're going to talk about the solution and transformation. We're going to show proof. We're going to show the turning point. We're going to tie in your pathway protocol, his anti-game artistry system, tying in your unique mechanisms. If I go back to the operating system I build, we're not just talking about, he did X, Y, Z, and this is how we got the result. We're tying it into your unique mechanisms, right? Because this is going to be how you tie a pain to a solution, to your solution, and then obviously following through with why you're the only logical person that can solve this, right? And positioning everything on the smallest details throughout every video that you create. So it's going to tie everything back into the way that you produce these results, right? Then we're going to insert the testimonial clip. We're going to connect them all together. And then we're going to re-agitate the pain. We're only going to share maybe 1 or 2 key takeaways or key insights. We're not going to give the whole thing away, right? And then we're going to have the call to action leading to either the next video in the series or the VSL itself, right? There are many different ways you can do this. If you have 5 videos, 5 pain points, you could link the VSL in each one of the description, or you can only link it on the final one and people go through each of those individually in order, right? You can structure it that way if you want to. Because ultimately, the more watch time someone has, the more trust they're going to build, and the easier it's going to be to close them or onboard them into your program. So the different scaling angles or verticals we're going to be focusing on, because there is going to be a cap on the ad spend you can spend on DM ads. You get to a certain amount of daily spend, and it's going to start to show diminishing returns in terms of profitability, the amount it's costing you to reach those individuals and stuff like that. So we've actually come up with different ways you can use the same assets you've created from the InstaTube method, but scale them in different verticals. We can turn the videos into VSL opt-ins. So if you found that video 1 or 2 within your 10-part series has performed really well, turn that into a free training video. Gateway it into an opt-in VSL so that you can then add those individuals into a ManyChat sequence, email sequence, nurture them into the other playlist. You can even, if you want to, put this into like a cold opt-in VSL training funnel type thing. They opt in, they go through, they see the YouTube video embedded onto the funnel, and then you redirect them to the other playlist, right? So you're creating these different entry points. The end goal is the same. We're pushing them through the same kind of process. It's just different entry points leading to the same final keystone asset, which is obviously the final place where they book a call with you or DM you for your program, whatever it is that you sell. We can push them through email marketing. We can productize this mini series into a low ticket offer and create an ascension funnel to sell them into your high ticket offer on the back end of that. They're creating commitment through, confirmation and ownership bias, buying into your ideas, buying into your methodologies, going through that content and watching it, and then eventually messaging you about ascending to your high ticket offers. We can host this mini series inside of an exclusive free school community. You can package it as an entire series with a call to action. So instead of doing individual videos or reels pushing them through to individual pain points, you can actually just package the whole thing and call it the whatever you would package that as a core transformation as a whole, right? You can package them separately, which we've talked about, and you can test by sending them directly to YouTube or just doing it through ManyChat alone. So this is really just like scratching the surface on the InstaTube method and just a general overarching view of like what it is, how it works, the kind of results you can generate from it. If you would like me to help you or guide you on personalizing this method for yourself, I actually offer a free roadmap call, right? Where it's not going to be that type of call where you get on the call with me, I'm going through all your pains, desires, and then selling you on a program or working with me one-to-one. I actually understand the exact bottlenecks you have and then personalize those bottlenecks and tell you exactly what you can do by implementing this system in a certain way for your particular offer and your audience, and how you can transcend those bottlenecks and implement this for your business. And how it would work, it's a 2-call process. The first call is a discovery call. We go through your questions and all that sort of stuff. I've had whether you've been active on my YouTube channel or not, we just took a client from $40,000 a month in revenue to $180,000 a month in revenue. And I was confident that I could do that in 30 days, which we ended up doing it in 28 days. And the only reason I was confident about that is because they got on a personalized roadmap call with me, And by asking them the questions that I asked them, I identified certain bottlenecks that they weren't even aware of. And it gave me such confidence that by implementing a certain system, they were able to over triple their revenue within just 28 days. And that is what could happen if you potentially book that call with me. This isn't no sleazy sales tactic or urgency tactic or ring out bullshit. It's just facts. Like, you may have a surface level understanding of the problems and bottlenecks within your business, but I may be able to deepen your understanding and really show you the real bottlenecks or the real reasons why you're unable to transcend past a certain revenue plateau that you may be in. So if you are interested in learning more about what it would be like to work with me one-on-one or just personalizing this method for your business, you can go ahead and click the link in the description, schedule a call with me one-to-one directly. It will be me. It won't be a closer or anyone like that. And yeah, stick around, subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be doing really in-depth videos like this, breaking down the different strategies I use for my clients to scale them to 6-7 figure months using the methods that I've created. So yeah, peace out guys, and I appreciate you watching the video.